Hello, YouTube. I'm Dr. Van Hoff as of 7 days. Still feels a little weird, but I'm here today to tell you what you need to do to get into medical school. Now, according to Forbes, medical school admissions is just 6.8%, with some schools only accepting 1.3%, according to U.S. News. So I'm going to give you 7 steps that you can do that are going to make you an extremely competitive applicant. First thing that you need to do, physician shadowing. This should be one of the first things that you do. Why? Because you need to know that it's what you want to do in the first place. If you're going to be a physician, you need to start shadowing the physicians. So this should be one of the first things that you do. You should shadow both an MD and a DO doctor. As you start to look into it, you'll see the difference. But you should shadow both. Why? Because a lot of DO schools require you to shadow a DO doctor. I guess it makes sense. But MD schools don't care as much. However, you should shadow both. You should aim for at least 3 physicians, and it should be at least 10 hours. 10 hours. One other big thing with this one is you want to keep in contact with this physician. Down the road, you're going to ask for a letter of recommendation from them. It's common. Everyone asks for them. I know it can be scary at times, but keep in contact with them. Shoot them a text or email every now and then. If they're wherever you're working at, stay friendly with them, because down the road, I promise it's going to help you. The second thing that you need to do, community service. This can literally be anything. It doesn't have to be medical. It can be walking dogs. It can be growing gardens, helping trim a garden. It can be reach out to your local school, the university you go to. They're going to have a lot of opportunities. I promise you that. Other ways you can is you can look at local community centers. You can look at local churches. I promise you there's a lot of volunteer work out there that needs and can be done, and you need to be doing it. Competitive applicants have at least 3 experiences that last 6 months. So that should be your bare minimum, that is what you should shoot for. The next thing that we're going to talk about is patient exposure. If you're going to be a medical doctor, you better believe medical schools like to see that you can be with patients and that you enjoy it, that you get along with them well. This is going to be another big factor. This can be volunteer work, or you can get paid, but you can't double dip. And what I mean by double dipping is if you are doing an experience for your community service, you can't use that same experience as, say, your patient exposure if you're not getting paid for it. They have to be two separate things. So you can't double dip. And so it doesn't matter if it's volunteer work or you get paid. It's okay. But competitive applicants have at least 1 experience that lasts up to 6 months and fill about 100 hours. So this is going to be something that's going to be a little bit more long-term for you. Something you're going to be doing throughout undergraduate school. The next thing we're going to talk about is leadership experience. This is also a big one because as a physician, the buck stops with you. There's nobody else. They want to see that you have those skills, that you can delegate various tasks, that you have those leadership capabilities to lead teams, whether it be in surgery or in the emergency room or wherever it is. They want to see it. So you need to get leadership experience. And you want to get at least 3 different experiences that last at least 3 months. The pattern here is they want to see longevity. They want to make sure that you're committed. Going to medical school is not a walk in the park. It's not something you do overnight. And medical schools know that, and they want to see that from you. The next thing we're going to talk about are hobbies. Now there's not necessarily a specific number that you have to do, but this is really what's going to set you apart and make you unique. Because all the other applicants that you're going to go interview with in the future, they've all done service, they have patient exposure, they have all these things as well. But hobbies can really set you apart. For me, I was a Division I athlete. That is something that helped me, and I feel like I highlighted that and helped me set me apart from somebody else. I also knew people who were international professional players in various sports, Olympic rowers. It doesn't have to be sports per se. It can honestly be anything extremely unique to you, and it's going to help you stand apart. The next thing we're going to talk about is research experience. This is becoming more important. This is something that all MD schools are going to want to see, and it's going to look really good on DO schools. It might not be required, but I know some MD schools do require research, and I know some schools even require your own hypothesis that's been tested. Now, I'm going to do a whole nother video about how to do research experience and how you get your foot in the door and what you need to do for that. Because it's a little daunting, let's be honest. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea who to reach out to. But if you're at a university, just know there's always going to be resources for you. Reach out and ask your professors who you're with. A lot of them already have research going on. And guess what? A lot of students ask as well, so it's not a big deal. So just start asking around. For research, you want to aim for at least one experience that lasts at least 6 months. Not good with my fingers here. And one other thing, it does not have to be medical related. It can, obviously, but doesn't have to be. Just anything with a hypothesis that you can test. And the number one thing that we are going to talk about that is the most important in getting into medical school is your MCAT and GPA. This is the big kahuna. This is what is going to get your foot in the door. Everything else is what's going to make you you and get that and secure that spot. But these, your scores, your MCAT and GPA, this is one of the most important factors, if not the most important factors. Now, the AAMC, Association of American Medical Colleges, they put out studies and data every single year, and they show that your MCAT and GPA score, that there's a positive correlation. The higher those are, that the likelihood that you're going to get accepted. No surprise there. Medical schools will actually put a cutoff score. They can do that. They can, when you start to apply, they can put a screening cutoff, say 500 on your MCAT score. And any applicant that applied who's below a 500 is automatically going to get cut out. They'll take your money, no big deal. But you're not even going to get an interview. And so that is why what I said, it gets your foot in the door. It is so important. But one other thing I do want to say is if your MCAT score and GPA is not stellar and kind of average, which mine kind of was, just so you know, when you look on the AAMC, that study, that data, it does show that percentages, say like 3, 5, 10%, and there are people that make up that 3, 5, and 10%. And so not saying that it can't be you, because it can, absolutely. Now, I know people who had stellar GPA and MCAT scores, 4.0, their MCAT score was 5, 10 plus stellar. They did not get into medical school the first time around. Why? Because they had no research experience, had no patient exposure, they had no community service, they had no leadership. I think I might have already said that, but you get the point. You need to have those scores as best as you can to get your foot in the door, and everything else is gonna make you unique, and it's gonna get you that seat, which you want, and I want for you. So, there you have it. The top 7 steps that you can take starting today that's gonna help you get into medical school. Now, if you do this, I guarantee you will be a competitive applicant no matter where you apply to. So, thanks for watching. Make sure to tap that. You know it. Thank you.